Hello everyone, welcome to Vinam Guidance. This is Dr. Anuja Sharma, and in this video we'll talk about retrotransposons. But before we move forward in this video, allow me to share this very important piece of information for you. As you all are very aware that the NET exam is almost here and you all must be in your final phase of revision. And as usual, Unacademy is here to help you with that last minute practice before you sit down for the real exam. Now, in my last video, I told you about this free Revise India series being organized by Unacademy for CSIR UGC NET November 2020 exam. Now, I hope you all took the series, and for all those students who missed it, it is still ongoing and you still have a chance to attend the series. Now, the series has more than 350 free classes from India's top educators, including CSIR NET, UGC faculties, toppers and mentors. I highly recommend that you attend the series if you have not already, as this will give you that last minute revision before the exam and it will definitely boost your confidence and also increase your chances to crack CSIR exam. And well, it's free, so that's a cherry on the top. Now the series began on 1st November and it will continue till 15th of November. And during this span of 15 days, there will be more than 120 hours of live classes on Unacademy. So you can choose your subject and learn about the best techniques to crack the exam. So click on the link in the description box and choose your special free class. All the best to all the students for the exam, and let's crack it. So let's get into the video now. Now, retrotransposons is one of the categories of transposons. The other two categories being replicative and non-replicative or conservative transposons. Now, I have already discussed the basic mechanisms of all these three categories of transposons in my last video. And I have also discussed replicative and non-replicative or conservative transposons in detail in that video. So I request you to please have a look at that video. Now let's get started. Now, transposition in retrotransposons, it involves the insertion of copies of double-stranded DNA molecule synthesized from the elements RNA. So an enzyme called reverse transcriptase. This enzyme uses the elements RNA as a template to synthesize DNA molecules. And these DNA molecules are then inserted into a new chromosomal site known as target site. Now, because this mechanism, it reverses the usual direction in which genetic information flows in cells, which is from DNA to RNA. However, in this case, it flows from RNA to DNA, and thus this is referred to as retrotransposition. Now, some of these elements are related to a special group of viruses that utilize reverse transcriptase, and those viruses are called retroviruses. So these elements are called retrovirus-like elements. And other elements that engage in retrotransposition are simply called retroposons. Now, before we talk about these two kinds of retrotransposons, let's discuss in detail about retroviruses, their genetic composition, the life cycle, and how this replication of RNA occurs. Retroviruses are the viruses that have single-stranded RNA as their genetic material. And the single-stranded RNA is replicated through a double-stranded DNA intermediate. Now, when one of these viruses infect a cell, RNA is copied into the double-stranded DNA, and this occurs with the assistance of a RNA-dependent DNA polymerase called reverse transcriptase. Now, the life cycle of these viruses involves an obligatory stage in which the double-stranded DNA is inserted into the host genome. And this insertion, it occurs by a transposition-like event that generates short direct repeats of target DNA. Now, if you have seen the last video, you must have an idea of what short direct repeats are and how they are generated during transposition. But before we move forward in this video, I request you to please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon for latest updates. Now let's discuss the life cycle of retroviruses in detail. So the retroviruses, they enter a host cell by interacting with specific receptor proteins. Now these receptor proteins are located on the cell's surface. And this interaction is mediated by a glycoprotein which is present on the membrane of the retroviral particle. It is more like embedded in the membrane. Now once this interaction occurs, the viral and the cellular membrane they fuse together and the viral particle enters inside the cell cytoplasm. Now an example of this interaction is between CD4 receptors and the glycoprotein GP120 of HIV. Now, once this virus is inside the cell, the lipid membrane and the protein coat that surround the virus particle, it is removed. And the materials which are present in the virus's core, they are released into the cell cytoplasm. And these materials include the viral RNA and the proteins which are required for replication of viral genome. So these protein includes reverse transcriptase, which is bound to the strand of viral RNA. And this reverse transcriptase enzyme converts viral RNA, which is single-stranded, into double-stranded DNA molecule. Now this resulting double-stranded DNA molecule, it then enters the nucleus of the cell. So it was in the cytoplasm. Once it's converted into double-stranded DNA molecule, it enters the cell's nucleus, and then it is inserted at random positions in the chromosomes of the infected cell. Now this double-stranded DNA molecule, which belongs to the virus, it can now be transcribed along with the cellular DNA. And cell's ordinary RNA polymerase instead of reverse transcriptase is used, and cellular machinery is used to produce a large amount of viral RNA. Now this viral RNA serves two functions. One is that it serves to direct the synthesis of viral proteins, and also it provides genomic RNA for the assembly of new viral particles. So it serves two functions. Now once these particles are assembled, they can then be extruded from the cell through the cell's membrane. And the extruded particles are then free, may then infect other cells by interacting with the receptors on the cell surface in a similar fashion. Also, the insertion of this double-stranded DNA in the chromosomes of infected cells occurs with the help of an enzyme, integrase enzyme. Now we'll get an idea of how the replication of virus genome occurs, how this RNA, single-stranded RNA, is converted to a double-stranded DNA. Now before we talk about the replication of virus genome, let's get an idea of genomic composition of the virus. So if you look at this picture, the R is the repeated sequence which is present on both sides of the viral RNA. U5 is a unique sequence present near the 5 terminus. U3 is a unique sequence present near the 3 terminus. PBS is the primer binding site to which the tRNA binds, and PPT is the polypurine tract. And these three genes, denoted as GAG, POL and ENV, they encodes viral protein. So the GAG gene encodes proteins of the viral particle, the structural proteins. The POL gene encodes reverse transcriptase and another enzyme called integrase, which catalyzes the insertion of the DNA form of viral genome. And the ENV gene, it encodes the glycoproteins that are embedded in the virus's lipid envelope. Now, replication of virus RNA, which is catalyzed by reverse transcriptase, it begins with the synthesis of single DNA strand, which is complementary to this single-stranded RNA. Now, for this to happen, we require a primer. And in this case, tRNA of the virus, that is complementary to a sequence called PBS, primer binding site, in the virus RNA. So the reverse transcriptase enzyme, it catalyzes the synthesis of the 3' end of the viral DNA using this tRNA as the primer and genomic RNA as the template. Now after this DNA extension is completed, the ribonuclease H, which is the RNase H enzyme, it degrades the genomic RNA in the RNA-DNA duplex, except for the primer binding site to which the tRNA is already base paired. So this degradation, if you look at this picture, leaves this repeated R sequence of the newly synthesized DNA strand free, which was before bound to the repeated sequence on the RNA. So now it's free. And this repeated sequence on the newly synthesized DNA can now hybridize with the R sequence, which is located at the 3' end of the virus RNA. So the net result is that the R region of the nascent DNA strand, it moves from the 5' end of the virus RNA to the 3' of the virus RNA and base pairs with the repeated sequence at the 3' end. So this DNA strand is further extended by reverse transcriptase using the 5' region of the virus RNA as template. Now RNase H degrades all the RNA in the RNA DNA duplex except for a very small region, and that region is polypurine tract PPT, which is composed mostly of the purines adenine and guanine. Therefore the name polypurine tract. Now this polypurine tract sequence actually acts as a primer for the synthesis of a second strand of DNA. See, there's going to be a double-stranded DNA structure that will move to another region in the chromosome. So the first strand is being synthesized and the second strand is synthesized using that PPT as a primer. Now once the transcriptase enzyme has extended the second strand of DNA, tRNA, and the genomic RNA that's left in the RNA-DNA duplex is degraded and it is removed by the RNase H enzyme. So now no RNA content is actually left. It's just a part of the first strand of DNA and a part of second strand of DNA, which will be further extended to form a double-stranded DNA. Now the removal of this tRNA, it leaves the PBS sequence, the primer binding sequence of the second strand. Now this PBS sequence is bound to the PBS sequence of the tRNA, to the complementary sequence in the tRNA. So now with tRNA gone, this part is free to pair with the primer binding sequence on the 3' end of the first strand. So a second DNA transfer occurs during which the PBS of the 5' end of the first DNA strand, it hybridizes with the complementary PBS at the 3' end of the first DNA strand. Now next, the 3' hydroxyl termini of these two strands are free and they are then used as the primer for extension of DNA strands to complete the synthesis of double-stranded DNA. This conversion of the viral RNA to viral DNA, it produces a signature sequence at both ends of the DNA molecule, as you can see. And these sequences are known as long terminal repeats, abbreviated as LTRs. And this long terminal repeats consist of U5, which is a unique sequence near 5 terminus initially in the RNA, U3, which was a unique sequence near 3 terminus in the initial RNA, and R, the repeated sequence. Now these sequences, long terminal repeats, they're very significant because they're required for the integration of this viral genome into the DNA of the host cell. Now let's talk about the first category of retrotransposons, which is the retrovirus-like elements. Now retrovirus-like elements, these are widespread in the eukaryotes kingdom and are found in yeast, plants and animals. And the basic structure of retrovirus-like elements, it contains a central coding region flanked by long terminal repeats or LTRs, which are oriented in the same direction. And each LTR is in turn usually bounded by a short inverted repeats. And because of the presence of LTRs, the retrovirus-like elements are also known as LTR retrotransposons. The coding region, the central coding region of the retrovirus-like element, it contains a small number of genes. Usually only 2 genes are present. And these genes are homologous of the GAG and POL genes, which are found in retroviruses. So GAG encodes the structural protein of the virus capsule and POL encodes a reverse transcriptase or integrase protein. Now retrovirus also has a third gene, M gene, which encodes a protein component of the virus envelope, but this gene is not present in retrovirus-like elements. In the retrovirus-like elements, these GAG and POL proteins, they play important roles in the transposition process. Now these long terminal repeat retrotransposons, they generate a copy of their DNA by reverse transcription of their RNA genome, and this cDNA is then inserted into the target site. So the mechanism is similar to the retroviruses. Now some common examples of LTR retrotransposons are TY1 element of yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and Copia elements of Drosophila. TI1 element of the budding yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, was the first LTR retrotransposon demonstrated to mobilize through an RNA intermediate. Now if you look at the structure of the TY1 retrotransposon, you'll see this element is about 5.9 kilobase pair long, has a central coding region, and LTRs that are about 340 base pairs long. The central coding region of TY1 elements have only 2 genes, TYA, which is homologous to the GAG gene and encodes the structural protein just like the GAG gene, and TYB, which is homologous to the POL gene of the retrovirus and encodes various functional enzymes. Now these various functional proteins that participate in the event of transposition, including reverse transcriptase, integrase and RNase H, are initially synthesized as a GAG-POL polyprotein, and then they are separated into individual proteins after post-translational modifications. So initially a whole polyprotein is synthesized and then different proteins are separated from that polyprotein. Now let's talk about how transposition occurs in TY1 elements. So the transposition of TY1 elements involves reverse transcription of RNA after the RNA has been synthesized from TY1 DNA. So this is a major difference. Retroviruses have RNA, so that RNA is reverse transcribed into DNA. But in case of retrovirus like elements, they initially have a DNA element. That DNA is first converted to RNA, and from that RNA a double-stranded DNA is synthesized, which moves to the different sites on the chromosome. So the first step involves the transcription of TY1 element to synthesize TY1 RNA. And in the next step, the reverse transcriptase enzyme encoded by the TYB gene use this RNA as a template to make double-stranded DNA. And this occurs in the similar fashion as we have discussed in the retroviruses. Now once this DNA has been synthesized, it is transported to the nucleus and inserted somewhere in the genome, creating a new TY1 element. Also TY1 on insertion in a target site, it also creates target site duplication. Now some other retrovirus like elements have also been found in Drosophila, and one of the first that was identified is called copia element. The copia element is structurally similar to the TY1 element of yeast. There is another retrovirus like element in Drosophila known as gypsy element. Now this gypsy element, it is a little larger than copia element, and it also contains another gene which is similar to the N gene of the retroviruses. Now let's talk about another category of retrotransposon, which is the retroposones. Now retroposones are also known as non-LTR retrotransposons, as these elements lack long terminal repeats as found in retrovirus like elements in retroviruses. Instead, these elements are distinguished by a homogeneous sequence of 80 base pairs at one end. If you go through the composition of genome composition of retrovirus or retrovirus like elements, they all have this poly-A tail present at the 3' end of their RNA. So this is a reverse transcribed, and it results in the formation of 80 base pairs in the double-stranded DNA that is produced. Now these elements also move through an RNA molecule that is reverse transcribed into DNA. Now this usually involves enzymes which are encoded by the elements itself. Also, they also create a target site duplication when they insert into a chromosome, similar to the retrovirus like elements. So the major difference between the retrovirus like elements and retroposones is basically the absence of long terminal repeats in retroposones. And examples of retroposones are Het-A and TART. TART is the telomere associated retrotransposons. Now these two elements, they transpose preferentially to the ends of the chromosomes. So they don't insert in between in some other location. They are always inserted at the end of the chromosome, and they extend these chromosomes by several kilobases. And these retrotransposons therefore perform this important function of regenerating lost chromosome ends due to the incomplete replication process in Drosophila. Because every time the chromosomal or the transposed sequence itself, they're lost in incomplete DNA replication, a new transposition event occurs at the same place to restore them. So these were the two categories of retrotransposons. That's all in this video. If you have any queries, feel free to leave them in the comments.